Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam Sangha. Don't know why I say class, but Sangha and attentive chanting, which we always endeavor to do. Let's continue with the Rsabhadeva. Excuse me. And such an interesting pastime. And, let's see where we are now. Okay, now today we're talking about the activities of Lord Rsabhadeva. So Lord Rsabhadeva, who was the Supreme Personality Godhead himself, Lord Rsabhadeva neglected all the mystic powers for which the so-called yogis hanker. Because of the beauty of devotional service, devotees are not at all interested in so-called mystic power. The master of all yogic power, Lord Krishna, can exhibit all powers on behalf of his devotees. Devotion service is more valuable than yogic mystic powers. Devotees who are sometimes misled aspire for liberation and mystic powers. The Supreme Lord gives these devotees whatever they desire, but they cannot attain the most important function of devotion service. Devotion service to the Lord is guaranteed for those who do not desire liberation and mystic power. So that so you given options. Krishna wants to say how desperately you want this devotion service. He offers you other things, other alternatives. Which one will you pick? So those who pick devotion service, then they are guaranteed. Let's pray. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham Kroti Vachalam Bhangum Yang Yate Girim Yat Kirpatam Ham Vande Shri Gurundim Taranam Pramnanda Madham Shittaneshram Hariam Tassat Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chevan Rotam Devim Saraswatmyasam Tato Jem Udiri Yet Nashta Preshav Abadareshu Nitam Bhagat Sevya Bhagavati Uttam Shloka Bhakti Bhavati Nestaki. Hare Krishna. So King Parikshit asked Shukadeva Goswami, my dear Lord, for those who are completely pure in heart, knowledge attained by the practice of Bhakti Yoga, and attachment for fruity activity is completely burned to ashes. So the heart has to be purified. That's those who are completely pure in heart. So the heart must be purified, and attachment for fruity activity is completely burned to ashes. For such people, the powers of mystic yoga automatically arise. They don't cause distress. Why then did Rsabhadeva neglect them? A pure devotee is constantly engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality Godhead. Whatever is necessary for the discharge of devotional service is automatically attained, though it may appear to be the result of mystic yoga power. And we discuss about pure devotees, how they can achieve amazing things. We're talking about Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He had so many children, big family, yet he did so much for Lord Chaitanya's mission. How did he manage that? He was a judge as well, so he was a working man, yet he achieved so much. But they have these special powers. They can expand time. Sometimes a yogi displays a little yogi power by manufacturing gold. A little quantity of gold captivates foolish people, and thus the yogi gets many followers who are falling to accept such a tiny person as a Supreme Personality Godhead. Such a yogi may also advertise himself as Bhagwan. However, a devotee doesn't have to exhibit such magical wonders. You can see the magic in their devotional service, in what they do. They don't need to do these little tricks to prove to anyone. You can see in their service. Without practicing the mystic yogi process, he achieves even greater opulence all over the world, like Srila Prabhupada. Under the circumstances, Lord Rsabhadeva refused to manifest mystic yoga perfections, and Maharaj Parikshit asked why he did not accept them. Since for a devotee, they are not at all disturbing. A devotee is never distressed or satisfied by material opulence. His concern is how to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That should be the number one criteria. How can we please the Lord? Not how to please the followers, how we can make a lot of followers by pleasing them. If by the grace of the Supreme Lord, a devotee achieves extraordinary opulence, he utilizes the opportunity for the Lord's service. He is not disturbed by the opulence. So it's Yukta Vragya. Everything we have is used in the Lord's service. Have a big house, use it in Lord's service. If you have a lot of wealth, use it in Lord's service. If you have a lot of knowledge, use it in the Lord's service. If you have talents, musical talents, use them in Lord's service. So whatever you have, use them in Lord's service. Srila Shukadeva Goswami replied, "My dear king, you have spoken correctly. However, after capturing animals, a cunning hunter does not put faith in them." So this is very important. For they might run away. Now, what does he mean by that? Similarly, those who are advanced in spiritual life do not put faith in the mind. And Prabhupada is always worshipping that, please Krishna, don't ever let me fall down. Even if you have captured the mind, you still have to be careful, because it will always want to run away from you, always want to do what it wants to do. Just like an animal. You have caught an animal, it tied it up, but anytime it can break loose. Be careful. Indeed, they always remain vigilant and watch the mind's actions. Where is this mind going? Again, Keshav Maharaj, on Saturday, he was talking about similar thing, that how the mind is so tricky. He said that he was on an elevator and his mind was saying, what if I push this person? What would happen? Like silly things. And it happens. These thoughts come to our mind. What would happen if this happened? Or what would happen if I did this? His mind is just crazy. It's a good job we have some intelligence that tells us between right and wrong. So acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up, but should be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. Yagya dan tapakaram na tyagyam karyam evatat yagno danam tapascheva pavanani manishinam. Even one who has renounced the world and has taken sannyas should not renounce chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Renunciation does not mean that one has to renounce Sankirtan Yagya. Similarly, one should not renounce charity or tapasya. The yoga system for control of the mind and senses must be strictly followed. Lord Rsabhadeva showed how severe types of tapasya could be performed, and he set an example for others. This is why, what all great men do, just follow. This is the example, that even if God comes down, he will follow all the rules to show us, how it should be done in this world. All the learned scholars have given their opinion. The mind is by nature very restless, and one should not make friends with it. So today, obviously, we're talking about the mind, and we all have, like I said, the mind plays tricks on all of us. If we place full confidence in the mind, it may cheat us at any moment. Even Lord Shiva became agitated upon seeing the Mohini form of Lord Krishna. And Sobari Muni also fell down from the mature state of yogic perfection. The first business of one trying to advance in spiritual life is to control the mind and senses. As Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, Mamam sho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana mana sastani indriyani prakriti sthani krishyati. So although the living entities are part and parcel of Supreme Lord, and therefore in a transitional position, they are still suffering in the material world and struggling for existence due to the mind and the senses. So the senses and the mind together causes problems, where the mind is the instigator most of the time. To get out of this false struggle for existence and become happy in the material world, one has to control the mind and senses and be detached from material conditions. One should never neglect austerities and penances. One should always perform them. Lord Rsabhadeva personally showed us how to do this. So we always do austerities and penances according to our ability, but we should not neglect them totally. The mind is a root cause of lust, anger, pride, greed, lamentation, illusion, and fear combined. These constitute bondage to fruity activity. So all these things lead us to fruity activity. What learned man would put faith in the mind? Where is the root cause of all these things? It's the root cause of lust, anger, pride, greed, lamentation, illusion, fear. It's the root cause. Everything's planned in the mind. The best way to control the mind is to engage it in always in Krishna consciousness. Savai Manha Krishna Pad Aravindo. Since the follows of the mind bring about material bondage, we should be very careful not to trust the mind. So you control the mind, you tie it down, but you don't trust it because it can cheat you anytime. Lord Rsabhadeva was the head of all kings and emperors within this universe, but assuming the dress and language of an Avaduta, he acted as if dull and materially bound. Consequently, no one could observe his divine opulence. He adopted this behavior just to teach yogis how to give up the body. So he left his kingdom and he is now traveling like Avaduta. Nonetheless, he maintained his original position as a plenary expansion of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna. Remaining always in that state, he gave up his pastimes as Lord Rsabhadeva within this material world. If following in the footsteps of Lord Rsabhadeva, one can give up his subtle body, there is no chance that one will accept a material body again. As Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yogeti tatvatah tyaktavadeham puna janma neti mam eti so Arjuna. So one who knows the transitive nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjun. So if you know Krishna, you know his nature, you know his appearance, you understand his activities, then why would you want to come back into the material world? This is possible simply by keeping oneself an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. One must understand his constitutional position and the constitutional position of the Supreme Lord as well. So, two things we need to know. Sri Prabhupada was saying yesterday, you need to know the Lord and know what you have to do, what your position is with the Lord. Both have the same spiritual identity, maintaining oneself as a servant of the Supreme Lord. One should avoid rebirth in this material world. If one keeps himself spiritually fit and thinks of himself as an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord, he will be successful at the time he has to give up the material body. Actually, Lord Rsabhadeva had no material body, but due to Yogamaya, he considered his body material, and therefore, because he played like an ordinary human being, he gave up the mentality of identifying with it. Following this principle, he began to wander all over the world. While traveling, he came to the province of Karnat in South India and passed through Konka, Venka, and Kutika. He had no plan to travel this way, but he arrived near Kuta Kachal and entered a forest there. He placed stones within his mouth and began to wander through the forest, naked and with his hair disheveled like a madman. While he was wandering about, a wild forest fire began. This fire was caused by the friction of bamboos, which were being blown by the wind. In that fire, the entire forest near Kut Achal and the body of Lord Rsabhadeva were burned to ashes. Such a forest fire can burn the external bodies of animals, but Lord Rsabhadeva was not burned, although he apparently seems so. Lord Rsabhadeva is the super soul of all living entities within the forest, and his soul is never burned by fire. As stated in Bhagavad-Gita, the soul is never burned by fire due to the Lord Rsabhadeva's presence. All the animals in the forest were also liberated from material engagement. So this is a pastime of Lord Rsabhadeva, and there's always a purpose behind this. Shukadev Goswami continues speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. My dear king, the king of Konka, Venka, and Kutak, whose name was Arhat, heard of the activities of Rshabhadev and imitating Rshabhadev's principles, introduced a new system of religion. Taking advantage of Kali Yuga, the age of simple activities, King Arhat, being bewildered, gave up the Vedic principles, which are free from risk, and concocted a new system of religion opposed to the Vedas. That was the beginning of the Jain Dharma. Many of the so-called religions followed the atheistic system. So this showing that sometimes they mention that the Jain Dharma started with Rshabhadeva, but here it's mentioned that it was not Rshabhadeva who started this. This king copied him, he imitated him, and started his own religion, the Jain system. When Lord Sri Krishna was present on this planet, a person named Pundrak imitated the four-handed Narayan and declared himself the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He desired to compete with Krishna. Similarly, during the time of Lord Rshabhadeva, the king of Konka and Venka acted like a Paramahansa and imitated Lord Rshabhadeva. He introduced a system of religion and took advantage of the fallen conditions of the people in this age of Kali. It is said in Vedic literatures that people in this age will be more inclined to accept anyone as the Supreme Lord and accept any religious system opposed to Vedic principles. The people in this age are described as Manda Sumanda Mata. Generally, they have no spiritual culture and therefore they are very fallen. The people are, they're always looking for alternatives, right? This is our nature. We're always looking for alternatives. Sometimes we don't believe in the system. We don't believe what's going on. We think it's too difficult and it doesn't agree with us. So we're always looking for something easier, something a bit more simple, something or what we consider more modern. Generally, they have no spiritual culture and therefore they are very fallen. Due to this, they will accept any religious system. Due to the misfortune, they forget the Vedic principles. Nobody wants to follow the Vedic principles. This is the problem. Following non-Vedic principles in this age, they think themselves the Supreme Lord and thus spread the cult of atheism all over the world. So in this age of Kali, people are overwhelmed by the modes of passion and ignorance. Lord Rshabhadeva incarnated himself to deliver them from the clutches of Maya. The symptoms of Kali Yuga are predicted in the 12th canto, 3rd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Lavanyam Kesha Dharanam. It is predicted how fallen souls will behave. They will keep their hair long and consider themselves very beautiful, or they will pluck out the hair as the Jains do. They will keep themselves unclean and will not wash their mouths. Jains refer to Lord Rshabhadeva as the original preceptor. If such people are serious followers of Rshabhadeva, they must also take his instructions. In the 5th chapter of this canto, Rshabhadeva gave his 100 sons instructions, whereby they could become free from the clutches of Maya. So this is the thing, they think they follow Rshabhadeva, but they don't follow his instructions. How can you follow someone if you're not following what they're saying? If one actually follows Rshabhadeva, he will certainly be delivered from the clutches of Maya and return home, back to Godhead. If one strictly follows the instructions of Rshabhadeva, given the 5th chapter, he will certainly be liberated. Lord Rshabhadeva incarnated specifically to deliver these fallen souls. Or what shall I say of the dynasty of Priyavrat, which is pure and very much celebrated. In that dynasty, the Supreme Person, the original personality of Godhead, descended as an incarnation, executed religious principles that could free one from the results of fruit activity. So this, as we know, we have talked about Priyavart dynasty. We talked about Dhruv Maharaj, Uttanpad, and then went his brother Priyavart, and how Brahmaji asked him to take the throne. So there are many dynasties in human society wherein the Supreme Lord descends as an incarnation. Lord Krishna appeared in the Yadu dynasty. Lord Ramchandra appeared in the Ikshvaku or Raghu dynasty. Similarly, Lord Shivadev appeared in the dynasty of King Priyavrat. All these dynasties are very famous, and of them, the dynasty of Priyavrat is most famous. So, very good. So, this is the amazing things that at one point, Priyavrat didn't want anything to do with this. He didn't want the kingdom. He was renounced. He didn't want to come into Grista life or rule a kingdom. But yet, he was asked to do this by Brahmaji. Actually, his father asked him, but he did not agree. Then Brahmaji intervened and he agreed then. And he achieved amazing things. And what a dynasty came from Priyavrat. And we'll go on to Bharat Maharaj. India is named after Bharat. And we're trying to get that name back as Bharat again. So sometimes, we have, we propose something and God comes and disposes. He has better plans for us. He has greater achievements for us. We just want to, sometimes we want to achieve something just for ourselves. But Krishna has plans that he doesn't want you just do things for yourself. He wants you to help others also. He makes plans so you can go and help others and deliver them also. So this is amazing, and what Priyavart and his dynasty has achieved, and such great personalities. The Lord Himself came into their dynasty, in the lineage, to deliver people. So thank you all so much. My father-in-law ji, Hina Mataji, Jai Prabhu, Praveen Mataji, Pundikaksh Prabhu, Sarvashya Mataji. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this. We've talked about so many things. We've talked about false religions. We've talked about how the mind cannot be trusted. And we talked about Priyavart's dynasty. And please give us your opinion. Pundikaksh Prabhu, what do you think, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, I mean, so many lessons in this particular purports.
Yeah.
Not one. And I mean, first of all, you started with like mind. Mind is very tricky, but as Krishna advised in Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 6 as well, you need to bring the mind back. It's not, mind nature is to like to flickering, but we need to make sure we need to bring it back. And certain things like sacrifice, penance, and charity, these are must. They cannot be given up. In chapter 18 also, Krishna repeatedly mentioned this, that these things we cannot give up. So this will allow us to keep our senses under control as well, I think. Yeah, I mean, utilize, I mean, one of the points you mentioned is like whatever facilities you have got, utilize them in the service of the Lord. You mentioned even music. So that was nice point, Prabhuji, I feel. And devotee should not look for getting the name or fame, but just do things for the pleasure of the Lord. So yeah, that's all, Prabhuji, for me.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. So Jay Prabhu is saying that he made a few points. The mind is restless and has to be controlled. If not, it will give way to enemies like lust, anger, greed, or leading to bondage. The seeds of fruit activity is completely burnt to ashes by the practice of Bhakti Yoga. Pure devotees do not desire for liberation, mystic powers, etc. Lord Shivadev acted like Lord Shivadev acted like an ordinary human being, just to teach yogis how to give up the body. Yeah. King, who had heard of the activities of Shivadev and introduced a new system of religious Jainism, and when Lord Shivadev arranged his disappearance from the world, he gave the visual impression of his body was consumed, demonstrating that he was completely detached from his body. Thank you so much, Jai Prabhu. Hina Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dhanvat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. Some glories to Prabhupada. Very nice class. Some really nice points, Prabhu. For me, I think I was kind of just thinking about how you started off the verse about how I was thinking about how life is a test, and even day to day we have to make decisions. You know, are we going to do something that's going to please Krishna, or is it, are we under the influence of Maya? It's almost like there's always that not dilemma, but there's always those choices are always upon us on a daily life. Some very nice points already made about how Lord Rsabhadeva didn't want any mystic powers, and it was making me think about how devotees are so powerful. We always try to sing the glories of Vaishnavas and sing the glories of devotees. For that reason, I think we kind of sometimes don't realize how powerful the devotees are and the association of devotees are. You made a nice point also about Yukta Vairagra and using our gifts in the service of the Lord. Some very nice points about the mind and how it needs to be controlled. It's almost like I kind of almost look at the mind almost like a dog on a leash that you have to constantly pull it into line and constantly control it, and always kind of try and filter everything that runs through your mind, through your intelligence, and chanting and Harinam Kirtan is obviously the best and the greatest way of trying to control the mind and senses, and austerities and penance also help. Like you did talk about how the root cause of many of our issues, like mental issues, are caused within the mind, so it can't be trusted. Some very nice points. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Andri. Thank you. Yeah, this example of animal is just amazing. The horse will bolt if you open the gates, or the cows. They have like a big, they call it killa, right? Punjabi killa, and if sometimes they can break and then they run away. They might regret it once they go. They might even come back in their own time, but they just love to break away, and the mind is same. It just loves to break away every moment. Especially something important has been said, he wants to just run away, and this is crazy. It just his nature just to run away. Thank you, Mataji. Praveer Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanvat Pranam. Very nice class. Yeah, I think all the points are very nicely said again. Like, main thing is mind, the root cause of everything, and engaging our senses in devotional service and performing austerities and penances is the only way we can try to control it. And mind can like cheat us anytime. So it's very hard to control mind. But engaging in devotional service and thinking of Krishna 24/7 probably can save us, and we should try. An example of the Lord Shiva and the Shobri Muni, that shows the power of the mind, how it can be the cause of your downfall. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Andri. Yeah, I'm just thinking. So if you tie the mind, it's always constantly trying to run away. You're trying to break free. And this is where like devotional service comes in. So with devotional service, you're not tying it. It's like the yogis tie their mind, right? They're suppressing the indriya, and the mind, the senses, the expressing. It can, like Sobri Muni, it can just break away, with great speed when it, once they get opportunity to open that knot that is tied. So with devotional service, you're not tying it, you are engaging it, right? You're engaging the mind. So it's not tied and it's not free either. It's in between, it's engaged, and it doesn't need to bolt out and try to run away, because it's happy where it is. It's engaged in Krishna's service on his lotus feet. It is happy to be there. Once you know the activities of Lord Krishna, Janma Karma Chama Divyam, why would he want to run away? Why would he want another birth? Thank you so much.
It's the higher taste, like we say, so we have to go for higher taste.
Absolutely. Once you understand the high taste, you would not want to go into anything lower. And first thing you have to understand that this material body is temporary. All these material things are temporary, and the soul is eternal, and it's spiritual. So these little things are not going to satisfy it, no matter how much we think. And these material things are going to satisfy the soul, but they're not going to satisfy it. And the soon as we understand that, and think most of us understood that, that's why we are here in Krishna consciousness. We understood that the soul is not satisfied with with all these temporary happinesses, this flickering nature of happiness. It's not happy. That's why he's looking for something bit higher, right? Like say high taste is looking for higher. Something spiritual can only satisfy the spiritual soul. Sarvashya Madhuri, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, everybody. That says that mind is cause of liberation and the mind is cause of bondage. In Kali Yuga, we have no power to understand spiritual knowledge because the mind are disturbed. And we are struggling, suffering through our mind and senses. Senses are inactive unless the mind made them active. So we should control our mind to control our senses. We should attach our mind and senses to devotion service to the Krishna. That's how we can engage our senses. And I was reading the Gajendra Moksha. I mean, they said that you should read Gajendra Moksha in the Kartik month. So I just came to a passage. It says about the 9 devotional service, and one of them is Archana. And they said deity worship of deity provides an opportunity to touch the body of the god. Because deities are not different from Krishna. He manifests himself in the deity. So while it's so, never realize that when we touch, we bath Krishna or do anything, actually we're touching the body of Krishna. Just like when Gajendra was in distress, he called out for Krishna, and Krishna come and touched his body, and he got liberated. So it says by touching our body of Krishna, we're doing devotional service, we can get liberated as well. So among the 9 devotional services, Archana is one of them. So that's how we can engage our senses, because our mind runs, is not steady, it runs here. And when it runs, is that engage the senses. Because then senses are inactive, but only the mind make them. So we just have to control the mind, and the thing is to engage all the time in Hare Krishna, think about Krishna, and do something good. Otherwise, if you don't, then your mind will wander away everywhere. So that's how all the devotees, all the acharyas, they were 24 hours, they were engaged in Krishna consciousness. But in material life, especially in Grihastha life, we've got some other engagements to do. So sometimes our mind goes on the families, things, and that causes fear. We've got fear in our life. The fear is cause of our body. We worry about our body, we about our illness, and that's the fear. And then the fear of the family get sometimes they're not well or something happened. The fear of the house or something. That is always because of the material things. We always fear. So, but if you just not think of material things, just think of the spiritual thing, think of Krishna all the time, then we'll be fearless. But this we'll just try to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and devotional service as much as we can. We can't be 100% like our gurus and senior devotees, but it's just very, very, it's a very higher devotees as well that doing it. But especially when you live in the temple, you've got all the opportunity, 24 hours you engage yourself. Because we try to do as much as we can, devotional service, engage our mind. When you engage my mind, our senses will be engaged as well. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much. Right. Is there anything else? Otherwise, we can go around. So let's do some chanting. Srishi Mataji, much will start. First round, please, Mataji. Second round, thank you all so much. And let's do some serious rounds, hopefully. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Bhataya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauranga Nirvitesa Sunya Bhakti Sadhine